Ready? Or you need to talk for a couple more minutes? Get it out of your system. All right, before we get started, thank you everybody for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. This is the third one in a four-part series that we're going to do. And before I get started, I want to kind of hit my version of an invocation that I've been doing since I was elected as mayor. As we begin this meeting, let us take a moment to reflect on our shared commitment to serve the diverse community of the village of Salado. We invite all present, regardless of faith, belief, or philosophy, to join in a spirit of unity, respect, and compassion. May our words be guided by wisdom, our decisions rooted in fairness, and our actions driven by the common good. Whether you find inspiration in a higher power, the bonds of humanity, or the wonders of nature, let us work together to build a culture where every voice is heard and every individual is valued. Let's take a moment, please. Okay, thank you. All right, let's get started. We decided to do these because, as everyone is aware, back in June, July timeframe, when we were sitting down working on the budget for the upcoming fiscal year, it was determined that we were going to end up in about a $1.1 or $1.2 million deficit. And there was some additional money that were spent as well, and we started looking into it, and we had to adjust in ways that we didn't foresee I did not ever expect in the first 90 days to come into office and have to do what we did and increase the tax rate. Not something that I ever wanted to do, but it was a necessary evil. And we're gonna walk through some of that tonight. What got us to that point, and what are we doing now to correct it and to make sure it doesn't happen again, and what are we doing moving forward? So with that being said, we'll jump right into it. Economic and demographic snapshot of Salado. We're right around 2,400 population. Median age 48 years old, and our 65 and older population is right around 25-26%. The median household income 103,500, which exceeds the median in the state of Texas, so we're a little above what the state is. Home ownership is 88.5%. The average in the state, 62.6. Let's remember that number, 88.5, because we're going to come back to that here in a little while. Median home price, $473,000 as of December 2024. Accolades and recognitions, one of the best places to live in Texas. Overall grade of A, public schools are A-, housing B, cost of living, crime and safety B+. Ranked number 2 in top 10 historic towns in Texas. 24 healthiest places to live in Bell County, most diverse place to live in Bell County, and ranked number 6 welcoming towns to retire in Texas. We've been featured in the Texas Monthly, Texas Highways, and Tour Texas magazines, and recent national recognition through Mr. Michael Alexanderson, who was on The Voice, kind of put us on the worldwide stage, and he got up there and proudly proclaimed that Salado, Texas was his home, and that was a pretty proud moment for me seeing that. And Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, I think our cheerleaders or starlets from the Salado High School, they represented us there, and they did a great job. And then Yellowstone, they got their logo all over Bloomer's trailers that were coming and parking over there. And every episode you saw Yellowstone, there was a trailer hauling cattle or whatever they had in there. It had Bloomer's logo on it and Salado, Texas on the bottom of it. So I'm happy to have that. City personnel, we're going to kind of go around and introduce. We hear a lot of talk in the community about, well, they're just way overstaffed. Well, I'm going to educate you on something real quick, and then you tell me whether we're understaffed. City Administrator, Mr. Manny De La Rosa, sitting right there. We've got Ms. Gina Pence, is our City Planner, Development Services, sitting back here. Chief Alan Fields back there in the back. He's got 8 full-time police officers, of which I'm very proud. He's got a great team over there. His guys and girls, they do a great job. And not only their enforcement, but also, and they're very fair, and they're very consistent in what they do. And they approach any situation that there's a human element to this, and they respond accordingly. They're not out there just pumping heads and doing, all the things that we see on TV and that kind of stuff. They are handling themselves, and I had a conversation with them a little over a month ago. There was some concern amongst the ranks there that with these budgetary issues that we were going to start cutting police officers, and I said, well, next staff meeting, I'll be there. And we had a conversation, and I let them know that was as far as the village was concerned from my standpoint, and I can't speak for the board as a whole, but just kind of the folks that I've talked to about this, they feel the same way. That's number one. That's a priority as far as we're concerned is public safety, and it's not negotiable for us. And told them the only thing I ask in return is that you conduct yourselves with the utmost pride, professionalism, and in an ethical manner, and just your integrity has to be beyond reproach. And Chief Fields knows that I'm aware of that. We've had situations with officers, and if it comes to me and I get a complaint about something, it goes to Chief, and it is swiftly handled. It's just not something that we tolerate. We're not going to be known for having police officers that don't get along with the community, and that's really sometimes people can forget why they decided to be in certain positions, and unfortunately, there's an ugly side to that. But here we don't really have those issues. Ms. Bean just recently retired. We've moved Teresa Spinks, who was our office staff, seasonal office staff, moved her up into Ms. Bean's spot for now as the city secretary, or I guess the acting city secretary for now, and municipal court clerk. Letitia Gaona, who is our permit and municipal court clerk, she's also out right now on some medical leave, but she handles all the permitting and that kind of thing. Deanna Whitson, tourism marketing manager. Jennifer Phelps, office staff, she's also seasonal, and then Melanie Lane, part-time tourism. Is Jennifer here? No, she's kind of our ways and means person. If we need something, and we don't want to, we want to try to get it for as inexpensive as possible. She finds it, and she's like, hey, found it here for much less, and then we go through that avenue. Everybody in this building right now is pitching in. We got a full-time. Deborah Bean's out. She retired. Miss Gaona's out. She's full-time. She's out. So everyone in this building is having to pitch in and kind of cross-train and do each other's jobs. And that's the difference between what we had here 2 years ago and what we have now. 2 years ago, the way the business was conducted in this building was you walked in the door, and if you asked a question to Letitia or whoever was sitting in there, hold on, I'm going to get him for you. And him answered the questions. Everything funneled through him. Manny is all about, he's an effective leader, and with that comes effective delegation, and he empowers his folks to do their jobs. And these ladies here in office have learned so much about, probably more about city government than they ever thought they would ever need to know, but they're learning it. And he's kind of taken Gina under his wing also, and she's learned a lot. And how long have you been here, Gina? 6 months in that position? So she's learned a lot, and she just to the point now where I call Gina, say, hey Gina, can you answer this? I just did it a minute ago, walking around after Manny was in a meeting with Alderman McDonald, but ask her the question because I know that she's been trained properly, and I trust that she's going to give me a straight answer. And if she doesn't know, she'll say, I don't know, and that's an appropriate answer for me instead of blowing smoke. I don't know is an appropriate answer. So there's our staff. Go back to the permit clerk and things that we were seeing before. That permits were coming in, people were applying for permits, and we found there was no rhyme or reason to the way that permits were being paid for. And I'll just use just easy numbers to work with just for time's sake. If somebody wants to come in and pull a permit to put in a hot water heater or whatever, say, okay, well, $50. They pay us $50, and then it comes time to get an inspection done, that's $150. So we took in $50 to pay out $150. And that was happening on every transaction, every permit that was issued, that was happening. We were subsidizing for these developers around here. We were subsidizing for whatever what was happening. They'd come in here and these builders, they want to do a remodel, they pull a permit. We were charging them bare minimum. And now we have it in place where we're actually charging what we're supposed to charge. There's a 20% admin fee tacked onto that because we got to pay our folks. And if we're not reinventing the wheel here, it's done like that everywhere. And people were kind of up in arms. Like, well, I didn't know that. I just in the last 2 days drove through and 2 different job sites shut them down because they're doing work without permits, and we're not here for it anymore. And people have been allowed to do things depending on who you were and what your status was in the community, is what they were charged or not charged to do something, and whether or not anything was enforced for that individual. So let's just be very clear about it. I don't care who you are. He doesn't care who you are, and this board doesn't care who you are. Rules are the rules, and it's the same for everybody, regardless of whether you've been here 50 years or you've been here 5 days. The rules are the same for everybody. Updates on the investigation into the village's finances. I can't say much about that right now, other than this is a very real, very active investigation, and I know that people, they tend to get, unlike we see on TV, NCIS, Blue Bloods, any law enforcement show you want to, contrary to what they see on TV, it takes longer than 30 minutes to wrap up an investigation and put somebody in prison, potentially. So these things go on potentially for years. We do have some information from the Attorney General's office, and we're moving forward with that information, and that's really about all I can say about it. I apologize. I would love to be able to get up here and make some sort of announcement and have streamers fall from the ceiling and all that, like we've discovered what's going on, but that's just not the way that it works. So maybe a couple more seasons of NCIS, and we'll have an answer, and we'll get through it. General election on May 3rd, 2025 for 3 alderman seats. There are 7 candidates for 3 seats, so it's going to get interesting. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 here with us tonight, and thank you guys. I appreciate y'all being here and showing some interest in what we have going on here, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in a few minutes too. Also, special election on May 3rd, 2025 on reducing the tax rate. So I saw today, and I spoke this morning at the Salado Ladies Community League, and it was asked about how this thing was going to be on the ballot, and I just read it just a few minutes ago. So again, it's going to be for the aldermen, vote for none, 1, 2, or 3 with their names on there. And then Village of Salado Proposition A, reducing the tax rate in the Village of Salado, Texas for the current year from the adopted rate of 48.6 per $100 evaluation to 36.12 per $100 evaluation. If I walked into a voting booth and saw that and didn't know anything else other than what that says right there, hell yes, I'm voting for. Who doesn't want a rollback on the tax rate? And from what I'm hearing and what I've seen and people that I've spoken with, I've gotten phone calls about it. These guys have gotten phone calls about it and said, Mayor, Alderman, if I had known what that petition was for, I never would have signed it. And it was basically, and it was handed off, passed on by a wife or a secretary and said, hey, I need you to sign that. Somebody came and dropped that off. What's it for? It's to reduce the tax rate. With that information, who in this room would not sign a petition to reduce the tax rate? With no other explanation other than that. And I think that is just, I support that individual's decision to file the petition, and I told him that before he ever did it. I consider him a friend, and told him, nope, I support your decision, and it's your right to do it, and I support you exercising your right. Good for you. But just because you have a right to do something doesn't mean that you should. And then we talked through it a little bit, and I told him that we were going to have town hall meetings and that we would try to address it as we could. And I even went a bit further and said, we pushed up our timelines knowing that there's a potential to trigger this petition. So we pushed up our timelines for approval to accommodate their timelines that they needed for this petition. Because again, they have a right to file it. And I supported them exercising that right. And told them, if for some reason you don't meet the deadlines as required statutorily, and you want to take this to the district court judge, I'll go to court with you, and I will ask the judge to grant your extension on that, because it's your right to do it. And if we held you up, or if the county held you up in getting your stuff filed in a timely manner, then I'll get up there and speak on your behalf. Coincidentally, I've not seen that individual at any of these town hall meetings, or seen him come to one Board of Alderman meeting, but not for any of these. And I think that is it's unfortunate. I wish we had a bigger turnout tonight. This is actually bigger than what we had The last one was about 15 people, I think, and the first one was a packed house. But I'm hoping we have one more coming up in April, and I'm hoping that was going to be a little bigger. Okay, let's go on to the next. Okay, let's talk about some of these developments that have gone on. Here's the one everyone's like, ugh. The Sanctuary Development Agreement. It's a 45-year agreement. The original signed on November of 2015. Property tax grants. I think it's for the next 20 years. They're going to get 50%. Everything that we get from Sanctuary, any of the Sanctuary properties that we get for property taxes, we turn right around and write a check for 50% of that and send it back to Hanks. And that's for the next 20 years, 15 years now. Same thing with the hotel occupancy stuff, and impact fees are 100% refunded to the developer. So their contractors, whoever they hire, and this whole the Water's Edge thing and Reef Construction is the ones that did Water's Edge. I've spoken to those guys, and they are. I spoke about that a little bit this morning too. People are really jaded and they're upset with Water's Edge, and I told the people who were in charge of that construction project over there. People are not upset at Water's Edge. They're upset because it's tied in. It's the sanctuary. That's what it is. And they told me, like, if we had known that this was such a highly contested issue here in the village, we never would have taken this contract. Well, they should have done their homework because this has been debated since 2015 now. But anyway, they're up and running. They're not completely up, but there's a lot of folks that have moved in there, and there's a lot more coming. So yeah, 50% of the property taxes that we get goes straight back to them. We just got a letter recently from Mr. Billy Hanks. I really do enjoy getting these letters because it always invokes Jesus in the name of God, and we're taking money out of Jesus' pocket and that sort of stuff. And it really does not sit well with me. But the reason is that we saw the village's main street in serious decline because of having no sewer. The city was in decline because there was no sewer. You've been here a long time. Is that true? And you had a business on Main Street? Is any of that true? It wasn't in decline because of no sewer. We decided to help rescue the village. This is his words, not mine. This is verbatim from this letter that we just received from them. We therefore very intentionally decided to share our sewer system permit with the village. It's not shared. You guys are paying for it. Nobody's sharing anything. You guys are paying for it. I'm paying for it. They donated 6 acres on which the sewer could be built. And that Salado's first mayor and aldermen were all local, and they rejoiced over our family's gifts and the decision to annex so Salado could receive half of the taxes that our many home and commercial development would create. How fortunate are we that this man came in here and has agreed to give us half of his property taxes? I mean, I'm appreciative. Hopefully this will help you understand why we simply want peace, honesty, and professional efficiency in fulfilling our mutual obligations. That was in response to them trying to do some things over there that wasn't platted correctly, and that gentleman there caught it, said we're not doing that. So we put the whole thing on hold until they get it all unraveled and figure out what's what. Again, it's depending on who you are and how much money you bring to the table is what you were allowed to do in the past. And that's today, say it with me, we don't care. It doesn't matter. We have developers that want to come in here. Right after I was elected mayor, they reached out. Hey, want to meet with the new mayor? No agenda, just want to see what his expectation is. And the expectation has been clear across the board. We want you to come here, but we want you to pay to come here. We're not paying you to come here. And if you want to be here, cool, come in, you can pay our impact fees, and we're going to do things the right way. Follow the rules. If you don't want to, hit that front door, and whoever's out in the parking lot waiting, have them come in, and we'll talk to them next. Because they're lining up. And the people that we're talking to, there's some stuff that I can't really say a whole lot about it because it's in negotiations right now. There's a potential that they have to expand the wastewater treatment plant. It was never even a discussion. They said we'll pay to expand the wastewater treatment plant. Those are the builders that I want here. And what I was warned about from a developer here in this community that says what you're going to do is you're going to run the good developers out of here, and you're going to end up with the D.R. Hortons. Not my words, theirs. Not true. We're getting some very high-end developers in here that's going to build a quality product, and they're going to do it the right way, and they're going to pay their way. Because if not, they can pay for a bus ticket and go to Georgetown or wherever else, if we're not doing it here. Okay, next one. Eagle Heights, this is one of my favorites. November 2020, agreement runs with the land as a covenant for 5 years, which ends November 2025. However, there was a clause in there that 180 days out from the 5-year mark, they could request an extension, and it happens automatically. And it followed the land, not the developer. The original developer has sold the land or is selling it, has sold it. So now we have D.R. Horton building a 30,000 square foot office building on the corner of West Village Road and Williams Drive. Again, we can do nothing about it because that's the way that it's zoned. It was all done that way in their agreement. It's zoned as local retail. And their parkland development fees are going to be waived because it followed the agreement. It didn't follow the developer. It didn't follow who the agreement was signed by. Wastewater impact fees, they're not going to pay wastewater impact fees. I don't know what it would have been, but on a 30,000 square foot building, we just did one here recently. I don't know if we can say the name of the $40,000 for bushes to tie in. So that's not 30,000 square feet. So I don't know what it'll be over there. So that's another revenue that we lost there. And this previous leadership signed off on it and allowed it to happen. And it was something that was a conversation during the previous mayor's forums and that kind of thing, and him saying that he was going to pay down the sewer bond. And I asked the question, well, how are you going to do that if you're waiving $500,000 in impact fees for developers? He says, well, you said the mayor didn't have the authority to do any of that. It's the board of the alderman has to approve that. I said, I'm glad you said that because it happened on August the 6th, 2020. You think I didn't show up armed? Because I did. It happened August the 6th, 2020, before you were mayor and you were an alderman, and not only did you vote to approve it, you seconded the motion. He turned that white, and the whole room fell silent. They knew right then I was not playing with them. And now we set some very stern expectations with developers and people who want to come in. We're just not doing it. We're not waiving the fees. They want to do business here. They can pay to do business here. Go ahead. Current tax rate, 48.6 per $100 evaluation. The voter approved tax rate is 36.12. Every 1 cent of tax revenue equates to roughly $38,000. So we've been looking as soon as we knew that this petition was good, and the Bell County elections took a look at it and said, yep, it meets all the parameters. We look at it. We had them look at it. It meets all the requirements. Kind of put things on pause because we are potentially, if this thing passes and the rollback is approved, then we're going to have to pay. It's close to. Go ahead and move to the next one. About $550,000 is what we'll have to pay back to taxpayers here in the village, and we have 60 days to do that. So, in the conversations that I had with Manny, so and we're both in agreement on this. I said I'm not going to be the guy that comes in and says we got to find this problem. We're trying to correct it. We have to increase taxes temporarily to get this thing back under control, and then the motion or the ballot measure passes, the proposition passes, and we got to pay this money back. And then I have to say we don't have the money to pay you back. So we've put the brakes on a lot of things. Grass cutting on Main Street, so they were having them do it. They were doing it basically, I know during the summertime, probably once a week, once every 2 weeks, but it was $31,000 a year is what we were paying to have grass cut around here. And that previous deal, every penny is $38,000. So $31,000, we almost shaved off a full cent right there off of what would have been the tax rate. Looking at making some changes around here. We move when Miss Bean retired, moving Miss Finks into here. She's not going to get paid with what Miss Bean was getting paid. And instead of having full-time positions, we're splitting them, making them the 2 part-time positions. We don't have to pay the retirement, and we don't have to pay benefits and all that, so it saves us money on our labor burden for bringing those folks in. And the people that we have here now that are part-time, they do great, and they really are. They have bought into what we're trying to do here. That's really my biggest concern. Is you get an employee in here, whether they're full-time or part-time, is do they buy in? Are they vested in? Are they invested in what we're trying to do? whether they're part-time or full-time, if they feel like they are a part of the solution and they're a team player and if their input is valued, they'll go to the ends of the earth for you. People don't leave jobs because of, I've heard over the years about our police officers, and we had such a terrible turnover with the police department. Well, it's because of the pay. They're not getting paid enough. For 7 years, I sat on that interstate on wrecks and fatalities and that kind of thing with police officers. And you don't think that we talk at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning while we're standing there waiting on the mortuary to show up or for a tow truck to show up? I know what these guys' concerns were and what their problems were, and it had nothing to do with pay. It had to do with being micromanaged and ineffective leadership. And I've voiced those concerns. We went through 5 police chiefs, and I don't even know how many police officers during that particular regime, and I'm glad that we're beyond that. And we're happy to have Chief Fields here, Sergeant Dunchy, and their folks, and we're headed in the right direction. Okay. The Village of Salado's exemptions. We're going to talk about some things, and I'm probably going to introduce some stuff to you that you may not be aware of, because most of the people I've talked to about this had no clue. This is just for the Village of Salado. Local homestead, a minimum of $5,000 or 20%. We'll come back to that in a minute. Go over local over 65. By state law, it gets frozen, but we give you an additional $50,000 exemption off the top of that. So it's frozen, and we reduce it by 50 grand. Local disabled, same thing. Then you go into the rest of it that doesn't have anything to do with this. So look at local homestead, minimum of $5,000 and 20%. The number that I said hang on to earlier was at 88.5% for home ownership. We're giving every household in the Village of Salado a 20% reduction on their appraised value of their home. It's a gift. They didn't have to do anything to earn it except for buy a home in the Village of Salado. We got realtors in here. Anybody has anything to do with brokerage or realtors? I know we got not really in that, but so when you see those kind of numbers and these exemptions, that's for typically for cities that have a low percentage of home ownership. You give those sort of exemptions as an incentive to buy homes. We are at 88.5%. The state of Texas is at 62%, and we're still incentivizing for what reason? So we reduced the tax rate by 9 cents for temporarily, and I've all heard it. Well, it never comes down. I'm going to show you here in a minute that it has come down, and it came down irresponsibly, and that's why, again, we're in a position that we're in now. Let's go to the next one, please. Here it is for the rest of it versus local jurisdictions around us. Bell County doesn't offer the same local homesteads. Nobody else does except for Little River Academy. And theirs is, I'm sorry, it's hard to read, $5,000 minimum or 5%. You know what Salado's is? Temple, same thing, $5,000 or 20%. Nobody else does that. Why are we giving everybody 20% off the top of their tax appraisal? I don't understand it. And most people I speak to are not aware of it. Who in this room did not know that until I just said that? You didn't know? They didn't know? So it's not something that's been widely publicized, but people think that, these guys over at the Village of Salado, they're all a bunch of damn devils. No, we're not. But y'all have these things, and we're giving you these, and I'm going to show you some examples of where we were just 5 or 6 years ago compared to where we are now. And also look at all the way to the right of that. You can see the tax rates. Which one of them is at 95? Rogers is at 95 cents. We're at 48. You got Morgan's Point is at 62.5. Bartlett is at 71.6. So we're either under or within kind of average of where everybody else is around us, except they're not given those exemptions that we are. Go ahead. Tax rate. This is my favorite slide in this whole presentation because it makes absolutely 0 sense to me. Look at the numbers, 2016, 2017, 2018 at 62.7 cents per $100. Who again, Lisa, you were here during that time. Do you remember when the tax rate was 62 cents? Darlene, Mike, those of you, Linda, the ones that have been here for a while. Look at over the next 5 years. It drops almost 40%. Look what's in the middle of that, COVID. During that time frame. So we dropped the tax rate from 62 cents, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to 39.5 in 2022. Then we'll go to 23 39.4. Went down almost 40%. At the same time, the cost of, I'll just use that as an example because everybody wants their roads fixed, the cost of road construction went up 50%. And I've talked to people like, well, it's only a 10% difference. No, it's not. It went down 40%. This went up 50%. That's a 90% difference all day. And people, they don't think of it along those terms. So we reduced the money that we have coming in while the cost of everything else around us was going up. Really, I'm baffled by that decision. So I'm going to ask the question. At 62.7 cents, were our roads getting fixed? Darlene, Mike, Linda, the ones that have been here for a while, that I'm aware have been here for a while. Roads get fixed? Where was the outrage at that point? I'd have been mad at 62 cents if the roads weren't getting fixed at that tax rate. And then to lower it over the course of that many years, that's a very aggressive decrease in a tax rate. And it could really just cause, and it has, all kind of problems. For other reason I can't see other than to say, look at us, we reduced your tax rate, re-elect us. And here we are. Go ahead. Growing needs require stable revenue, population growth. We've got an increasing demand for services. We're hearing conversations about, I don't want to lose the small town charm of Salado. I don't want McDonald's coming in here. I don't want Starbucks coming in here. We're going to lose that small town charm and just the negativity and constant on all 157 Facebook pages that has anything to do with Salado. It don't matter which one you go to. They talk to each other like they're just redheaded stepchildren, and they could care less about them. And you wonder, and we pride ourselves on being a Christian community, and you guys treat each other like this? This is ridiculous. No wonder. And you hear them talk about this small town charm, and I've said it before. I was talking about it before I was still the public information officer at the fire department. It has nothing to do with the buildings that we have in this community. It's the way that we treat one another. It's the way that we treat the visitors that come in here. Are we treating them like outsiders? Are we treating them like, I don't want you here? Are you getting mad because they're lost? They're trying to find a place. We know parking is kind of a challenge here in the village. They're trying to find a parking space and you're behind them laying on your horn because they're holding up traffic. Those kind of things happen. And it causes people to not want to come back. Welcome them here. Water's Edge, I hear that about, oh, we got all these people coming in here. I look at it differently. I look at it as an opportunity to meet however many new people that is. It's also tax revenue. They're coming in here in the village and they're spending their money here. Are you really worried about that? Look what's fixing to happen down there at Salado Ranch. 14,000 new homes going in. Wait till that hits. You see how much bigger things get here. Quality of life. Residents expect well-maintained parks and infrastructure. We're having conversations about some park things, and I can't get really involved in it right now in this conversation, but there's some serious conversations about doing some things that are going to, it's a quality of life issue. It's in our comprehensive plan, and it hasn't even been, it shows these walking trails and all those sort of things, and they're not there. So we're in some conversations with some folks to start making that happen. Parks and infrastructure. 2 weeks ago, I spent 2 weekends in a row fixing potholes. I don't mean me called somebody and said, can you go fix these potholes? I went and fixed these potholes. We're fixing to order 100 bags of this stuff that we use to fix these potholes, and I'm going to go fix potholes again. Chief Fields was with me, and there was me, Chief Fields, and 3 other people that went out there and did that. People passed by, they didn't stop. Some of them have the audacity to honk because we were in their way. You just shake your head like you just can't win for losing. I wanted to throw some asphalt at them. A nice white car. Business attraction. Companies need reliable utilities and community investment. We want things to look good, and we need that stable revenue to do the things that we want to do. People reach out to me all the time and say, hey, we'd really like to do this, we'd like to do that. I'm like, okay, I get it. We don't have the money right now, but I'd be more than happy to do what I can to help you try to raise the funds some way. And I did. There was a music-friendly community. They needed $350 to pay for their state fee that they owe every year to be a part of that community. And they came to me and they were asking for hot funds money. I said, no, you can't do it. You can't use hotel money for that. You guys are a nonprofit, and we can't just give you taxpayer money without going to the board. I said, but give me a couple days. I'll see what I can do for you. I went and talked to a local business owner. wrote a check on the spot for that. And I went and handed it to them, and I said, they do want recognition for giving you this. It's a matter of asking. You've got people who are here, they're new to the community, and they want to be accepted, and they want to be a part of it, and they want to see us do good things, and they want to see us grow. Okay. Long-term risk, rising maintenance, backlogs and infrastructure and costs. We've already talked about that. Diminished ability to attract new businesses. We're very fortunate right now that we do have leverage, and that we know that we are very highly sought after. People want to come to Salado. Businesses want to come to Salado. QT coming in was a good thing. I think it kind of set the mark, and it put others on notice. Wait a second, if QT went in there, there's something to this. And now we're getting more and more phone calls. Manny's taking more and more meetings. Gina's getting more and more phone calls and emails, people inquiring about it and what's the process. And I don't mean this is not just a kicking the tires type stuff. These are serious folks with some serious money that want to come in here and get some things done. Gradual erosion of areas of historic charm and appeal due to insufficient funding for maintenance and preservation, and declining sense of pride and identity among residents as the city's vibrancy fades. I think with what I just said, I think with the spirit of altruism that we have here in the village and people wanting to help and wanting to volunteer, I don't know that bottom line is going to be the case for us. I think that even though we have seen some decline in people wanting to volunteer and do things I volunteer. Everything I do as mayor is for free. People in this meeting this morning, and most people that I talked to had no idea. These guys don't get paid either. Same thing with our volunteer fire department. They were having a heck of a time getting folks to help them and come out there and volunteer to do some things. And I'm hoping that when we get ready to do these potholes, whenever these 100 bags of this stuff comes in, I'm going to put it out there for the public. Hey, there's a volunteer opportunity. Come out here and hang out with us, and we're going to fix some roads and see what they say about it. And then people want to start honking, then we may just set up barricades and hold them up for a little longer. Okay. We annexed the Holiday Inn December 30th of last year. That was by design. We needed to get that done before the end of 2024, so that hits our tax rolls this year. That's good for approximately $30,000 in property taxes right there. Again, almost a full cent. Remember, $38,000 is one penny. The HOP micro transportation service launched in March, April at no cost to us. That's where you make a phone call and you want to set it up for them to come pick you up. It costs them $2 to ride. I think if they're disabled and over something, I think it's $1. Because I just read recently, so there's some variation there. We joined the regional partnership of the Central Texas Water Alliance to help secure water rights for Salado's future, and we now have representation so I currently serve on the Central Texas Council of Government Executive Committee, the Killeen Temple Metropolitan Planning Organization's Technical Advisory Committee. I'm the representative for small and rural areas, and also the Bell County Public Health District Board of Directors. Prior to me coming in, I started looking. K-Tempo is the one that kind of earmarks and says when they're going to release funds for certain projects and those kind of things, TxDOT projects, whatever the case is. We didn't have a seat at that table. We did. We just never showed up for dinner. So I found over the course of 3 years, we attended 5 meetings, all virtual. If you attend these meetings virtual, you don't get a say. You don't count as part of being part of the quorum. You don't get a vote. So I was like, I'll do it. So I went on there, and very quickly, I got nominated to be on the Technical Advisory Committee for K-Tempo, and then the Executive Committee for SITCOG. And last year, when I was an alderman, I got on the Bell County Public Health District Board of Directors, just because of my EMS license. Next one. So now we do have a seat at those tables. We have people there, they're there, and we have a voice in those decisions. Everybody, you see people on Facebook talking about FM 2484 and that we need a stoplight here, we need this. All that's in the works. Like, it's all planned. It's already been. The money's already been marked for it. It's ready to go. It's just a matter. I think they're going to start. They say 26. I don't think it's going to be done before the new high school is done, but they're working towards that. It should have happened a while ago, but I mean, you can only do what you can do with the money that you have. That's really all I have, and I'm going to open it up for questions. And I'll just ask this: that this meeting, this series of meetings is here to talk about what we're talking about. So I will, this is a little bit different than we do with a regular Board of Aldermen meeting, in that I don't have to let you say, you can't get up there and just browbeat me. If you want to, you can. I'll let you do that. But we're not going to talk about, you can browbeat me about the budget and about anything that we just talked about, but about anything else, we're not going to discuss that tonight. You can we can talk about it out here, or you can come back at the next meeting and you can stand right here and have that conversation with me sitting right there.
I need some math help. I'm a senior citizen, my tax bill goes yours, that's not really affecting me drastically. So I'm not going to control that. I want to know something. If, and one of the reasons we have those taxes and that extra kickback is that the senior citizens are these will vote the most often in the elections in the past. And our tax stuff goes in and we're comfortable. If the rollback happens, if our new alderman has to deal with that, paying back money. But instead, if you consider taking away my 20% discount, which will affect everybody, even those of us who are older, how much more money are we talking about? Are you going to get more money to take away my 20% discount? Or do you get more money if we don't do the rollback? And I'm just saying this for all the people who run for office to consider and discuss it. You can take that money away from me, and I respect your right to do that. Jim likes it, and I didn't have to get it and stop on 55. You know, it's like I said, we're all in the same storm, but we're in different boats. And can you guys do the math for us and get a rough estimate? So that senior citizens who do get out and vote, and you are saying, man, we went there, how to go for those taxes, lower taxes. They might reconsider the rollback if they know you're going to suddenly take away that extra 20% arm like that. You're at the math.
We can. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but we can certainly have it ready for the next one. Yeah. But you know, to your point about the voter turnout, we historically have a low voter turnout anyway. But I look at the last 2 years, last two election cycles, and there has been a shift in mindset in the way that voters decided what direction they wanted to go over the past 2 years, especially. Everyone's aware of it, of all, and I spoke about that this morning at the Salado Ladies Week. Like, you talking about smear campaigns and just being dirty. I don't know in the history of Salado politics that ever got as nasty as it did the last 2 years. And they were just coming at me, coming after my family, after my wife, after my son, and things that are off limits. And, you know, if this had been 10 years ago, I probably would have gone to prison over that, to be honest with you. Because when it comes to my wife and my son, that's off limits 100%. But I just kind of pushed it down. I think I see what the game is. Let them do what they're going to do. I never pushed back. I never retaliated. I never reciprocated with the mudslinging and all that. I just kind of killed them with kindness. And I did that for 2 years in a row as the lies got bigger and bigger and bigger. The fact that, one, that I was elected to the Board of Aldermen in the fashion that I was, with the number of votes that I got, that sent a message. The fact that I unseated the incumbent mayor, that also sent a message. And unseated another incumbent alderman, that sent a message. So the folks that are coming here now, and even the ones that are kind of coming up, and they're really starting to see what's happening. Even the ones that have been here for a while, and they're starting to see the writing on the wall, and they're like, you know what? Everything this guy said is true. Like, I spoke about these things during my campaign and said that we were going to get to the bottom of this and figure out what was going on. And that's why I decided to run to begin with. I don't know, I haven't shared that with this group, but I had no, if you'd have come to me two years ago and said, hey, I shook my magic 8-ball, who remembers those? And it told me, you're gonna run for alderman, get elected, and then you're gonna run for mayor, and you're gonna get elected. I would probably laugh you out of the room, because I have no desire to do any of that. I think politicians are full of garbage, and I'm not a politician, so I don't have the I guess, the soft skills for that. But I've come to find that people kind of like the direct approach too. It's better just to be direct about it. Be polite, but be direct. Um, and you know, there's a time for diplomacy, but there's also a time when diplomacy expires, and then it's time to have some more serious conversation. So I think that the people have spoken, the voters have spoken, and very loudly. And I just don't think it's going to be the same mindset anymore. I think that they're aware of the things that we need to do. We just did a survey over the last few months to see from citizens to see what is it that you want. What do you want as far as the P&Z is the one that put that survey out there. And I don't think it was the results they were hoping for, because I think more people, to Linda's point, that were in kind of that other demographic are the ones that responded to that survey. And you know what they wanted? More commercial development, less residential, because they understand commercial is what pays the bills around there. Commercial is what gets your roads fixed. Commercial is what gets you all the pretty parks that you want and greenscape and all the things, and quit waiving impact fees. But those kind of things are what the responses were, and it was really just echoed everything that this current board has been talking about since last May. Everything that we've been working towards. These survey results indicated that we were right in alignment with what they were asking for. So we're very proud of that, and they say that we don't speak to people, and I said it this morning also. If you don't see me out and about in this community, it's because you yourself are not out and about in this community. Because I'm up everywhere. I don't know. I've seen Miss Chris more times than over the past couple of weeks than I probably saw her in 6 months. And just on and on. I'm everywhere, and I like that. I like doing these little events like I did this morning, because I'm getting opportunities to address groups of people that just because of the age difference, or you know, that's a group of 65 plus women. I'm not in a quilting club or whatever it is that they, you know, hell, they may be playing poker there when I leave. I don't know what's happening when I leave. But if that's the case, I may go back. But that's a group of people that I otherwise would not have had an opportunity to introduce myself to and kind of tell a little bit about my story. And I did this morning and introduce myself, because there are people that knew nothing about me other than what somebody else had told them. And we're all aware, 98% of what somebody else has told them about me is not great. When they sit right here in this room before the alderman election and say, hey, we need to fix Santa Maria Road because there's a guy on that road that is running for alderman and he does not need to get elected. We got sitting public elected officials who said that to a developer. And then when I got elected, went and had a conversation with them, 2-hour conversation, they said, you are the exact opposite of what they described you as. And because I listen to both sides, and I try to come to a common ground there, but there are some things that are just not negotiable. My ethics are one of them. I know he feels the same way. These guys do too. I'm certainly not going to compromise my value system to make somebody happy and hopefully get them to come in here. I don't care if it really is Disneyland wanting to come in here. We're not willing to make those kind of no. We're going to do what we're going to do. And we're going to make, well, I don't know, Disneyland, that's a lot of money. We may have to make some stuff for them. Maybe Chuck E. Cheese is a little more accurate. What other questions you got? Come on, you got 10 more or 11 more minutes to put up with me, so. No? All right. Everybody know Alderman Zach Hurst, Alderman Michael McDonald. They still got another year on their term, so they're going to keep those seats warm for another year, and I'll let them decide after this next election whether they want to continue to sit where they're at or if they want to, you know, I don't know, for whatever reason, we had assigned seats when I was an alderman, and I thought that went away in the 3rd grade, but whatever. What else? I got 11 minutes to kill, so we're just going to talk about some stuff. The trolleys. You guys have seen I'm sure you all saw it for the stroll with us spending $10,000 on the shuttle going up and down Main Street and going to the hotels and that kind of thing. And all the pushback that we got from that. You know, again, you can't win for losing. The money that was used to pay for that were hotel occupancy funds. Now, we've been accused of, what's the word, stockpiling hotel occupancy funds. Hotel occupancy funds can only be spent, it has to meet certain parameters before you can spend it. So if you can't spend it, what does it do? It sits there. It's not stockpiling. It sits there because state law says it has to. You can't just touch it. You can't use it for whatever you want to. So we did that. It wasn't just a few hours a day. These were 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. or something like that. It was these, and this was for 3 days. I'm sorry, yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, both weekends. So however many hours each day for 6 days. I think 2 drivers per day is what they were doing. Their vehicle, their liability insurance, all those things, it was $10,000. That did not come out of, it wasn't taxpayer money. The only people that paid those taxes are people that stayed at the hotels, and they paid that additional, whatever that percentage is, 7%. That's who paid for that. Didn't have anything to do with the current budget or any of that stuff. And it's just, again, irresponsible to just put it out there that, oh, we all, but you didn't have any money. Yeah, not for that, but we used it for this because we could make stops at the hotels. But now we're going to take these shuttles. Manny and I have been talking through it and kind of figure out how we can do it. We got our attorneys involved, and we're going to move them under the Parks Department umbrella. It takes it out of the tourism. Now we can use them. We're going to pay for maintenance or whatever through parks instead of tourism. That's what was hanging us up. We've remedied that. We're going to move past that. We'll work out all the details of how we're going to utilize those, but we are going to bring those back. Visitor Center will be back open on Saturdays from 10 to 3, starting I think in April, and we're just going to continue to push forward and make better quality of life for everybody, or at least try. Well, I think there is some misunderstanding about what that contract is. That contract had nothing to do with Sanctuary or Skip or any of those. That contract was signed this year. So that's a new contract. And that's an economic development contract. And there's nothing in there that's a bad thing. It's a good deal all around for both parties involved. We gave them, I don't have it sitting in front of me, but there are some performance metrics in there that if they don't meet those metrics, the whole deal's off. And that even down to the number of full-time employees that they have. So we're keeping an eye on it. And we get their financial report every month. So there's some accountability there. We've come to certain agreements with them. It is capped at a certain dollar amount. It's only good for 10 years, 9 years. That was signed at the end of last year. Yeah, well, we didn't do that. And they came to us and we looked at it and said, okay. And really, they needed to put a lot of money into that, and they still have some more renovations to do. But I don't know if you have a chance to go in there and eat yet. Go check it out. It was great. I ate there yesterday for lunch, and I think that they're doing things the right way. And they came to us and they asked for help, and we looked at it. It doesn't hurt us. It doesn't really affect anything that's going on. And a lot of it is the most part of it is the hotel occupancy tax that is really what is the most of it. What's getting rebated out of that whole agreement. Yeah. But again, it's money that can't be used for anything else. It just has to sit there. So what's the harm? And because if we don't do it, and they don't get the money that they need for advertising and that sort of thing, and I've seen the reports that they're in magazines all the way up in Fort Worth and San Antonio. Like, it's all over the place. It has created a buzz that they're opening back up, and people are going to start coming. So yeah, that I know the previous one was probably not great, but the one that we have is solid, and there are some things in there, some clawback provisions that if they don't meet those metrics, then we're done. Yes, ma'am. I think with it being this close proximity to, is there standards in there? Is there wording in there that talks about it has to be so many mile radius? Huh? Yeah. and you're going to Austin. Yeah. Yeah. So with that, yeah, I mean, it would be a good idea to have something here, but you know, we want people further away to know. And we don't need them. Again, if you're coming from San Antonio and you're traveling to Austin, you're going to Austin. You're not going to, oh well, there's a sign for Salado. Let me bypass Austin to see what Salado has to offer. Yeah, and those signs are very, very, very expensive. Yeah, I know Stagecoach to get their sign repaired out, which looks great by the way. I think that was $30,000 or $40,000 just to fix that sign, and that's a lot of cheese. What else? I don't think if there's anything I needed to get on. The only thing I can say is you know, just talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, and encourage them. We have one more of these coming up, and you know, I can't get out and say vote for or against this measure. And I can't do that. Only thing I can do is give out the information that I've given, and I think, and at the last one, I'll hammer down a little, and I may extend that one to about an hour and a half. The first one we did was we ended up going a little over 2 hours, 2.5 hours, I think. But I was just taking on all kind of questions, and then there was somebody decided they wanted to argue with me on some points that had nothing to do with any of this. So I really do just appreciate you being here and coming here and trying to gain an understanding of what it is that why we've done what we've done and what our path is moving forward. There's a lot of things in the works right now that are just alternate revenue streams that are coming in here, and we're very happy about that. Manny, Gina, the whole staff in here have done a great job in doing their due diligence and answering those phone calls and getting folks rallied up and getting them in here and say, okay, you want to do it now. Holiday Inn was, you know, they've been trying for years to annex, and previous leadership, for whatever reason, just wouldn't bring them in. And then they came, and Manny had a conversation with them and said, you want to do it? Okay. Don't wait to get the sewer. We'll give you the sewer. Do it now. I said, okay. Within 2-3 weeks, annex into the village, just like that, an additional $30,000 in tax revenue. And there's more of that to come. Yeah, and they're going to pay for it. It's going to cost, we're not doing it. We're not paying. We're not waiving any fees. We're not doing any of that. They're paying for it to have it run up to them. And then, of course, that gives Days Inn an opportunity. Then we annex Days Inn, and then whatever else decides to come in up there. So there's a lot of opportunity coming up here pretty soon. It's you know, I just encourage you to get out, and you hear people talking in the community, and they say something different than what you heard here tonight. I would tell them, you know what, you need to go listen to what he has to say, because there's so many different versions of I've heard things that I've said over the last 2 or 3 months twisted around in such ways. I'm like, how did you get that out of what I said? Because it wasn't even close. You know, all thing I can say, and I said it before, I think before the last one, or back in February, because it was right before the deadline for the applicants for the Board of Aldermen. And I said, you mad about this? Get mad. I got mad and decided to do something about it and run for office. Like, either be part of the problem or be part of the solution. And I know that's not for everybody. It's not. It takes. I think it takes a certain level of insanity to sit up here and just take that beating week after week and day after day. And you know, phone never stops ringing. And since I've been sitting here, I probably got 15 phone calls I need to return after this. And I probably will return them, but I need to wait till tomorrow, but I won't. Yeah. So any of this that you saw here tonight, I know some of that's kind of hard to see on there. It is on the village's website. I apologize for that, but with that screen that we have, it makes it a little more difficult. And also here in the very near future, we're going to have, this is all going to look different. We're going to repaint this. We had somebody that donated some paint for us, and we're going to just kind of this color blue along the walls here. So we're going to make this look better. Move the lectern here so that whoever's speaking addresses the Board of Aldermen, because people right now are too tempted to turn and speak to the audience when they're supposed to be talking to us. So we're going to move this to there, and the microphones are a huge help from what they were before. You couldn't hear before. Now I talked to folks that listened to and I went and listened to it after the last Board of Aldermen meeting. You can actually hear what's being said, and I think how did it work out on your recording? Could you hear it? Okay, so if we need to, we can make those adjustments, but inexpensive for what it was 7 mics, right around 8, and it was what was that, $700-800, $1,000. So money well spent, as far as I'm concerned, for people to be out here to be able to hear what's going on, and they can hear it online too whenever they get ready to go watch it again. Thank you. I hope that y'all were informed a little bit about what is and what is not, and maybe I was able to clarify some concerns that you had and clear up some misconceptions. Our phone number's out there. If you don't have it, see me after. I'll be happy to give you a card. We can meet for coffee, lunch, whatever you want to do, and we'll have that conversation. And I'm okay with sitting down face to face and talking one-on-one, or in a group setting, or however you want to do it. So thank you all for being here. I know you had other places you could be on a Thursday night, but you chose to be here, and I appreciate that. These guys appreciate it, and thank you. Have a good night.